Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kyle Dalavis. I'm with Stuckey Company. I've been working here for almost 16 years now. Welcome to this afternoon's Hartford restaurant webinar, hosted by Stuckey Company. Michelle Davis with the Hartford will actually be the presenter of the program today, but we just wanted to go over a couple things real quick with you guys. Stuckey has been around for 25 years now as an MGA, working with various carriers such as the Hartford, Travelers, CNA, Chubb, ACE. We have some different programs together with those guys, such as our technology E&O program with Safety Tech, our commercial line market with the BOPS, auto, work comp, bonds, D&O, our personal lines programs, our MPL program for miscellaneous professional liability, and some various other programs you can see on the screen. Sorry. What we're going to do is have Michelle do the presentation. We'll take your questions throughout the presentation. You can see a little spot on the screen there to list the questions. We'll try and answer as many as we can at the end of the webinar, and if not, we will definitely answer them by email as a follow-up. And also as a follow-up, we'll be sending a link to the recording of the webinar along with the PowerPoint presentation as a PDF and some of the appetite guides that have to do with what we're speaking about today. So at this point, I'd like to thank you again for joining and turn the presentation over to Michelle Davis.
Great, thank you, Kyle. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I haven't seen yet kind of a link to come up to let me go ahead and share my screen, but once that does, oh great, perfect. I'll go ahead and show my presentation. Great, perfect. So everybody should see my screenshot here on Hartford small commercial restaurants. So I'm really excited to be going over Hartford's restaurants today. I'm with Hartford's agency education and consulting team. I'm Michelle Davis, and really over the last couple of years, we've really expanded our opportunities with restaurants as changes in eligibility requirements have occurred. So we're going to go over those today, as well as go over coverages as well too. So let's go ahead and just dive in. So restaurant sales have really experienced a phenomenal growth in recent years and are expected to really surpass a record high of around $683 billion. And as a result, the restaurant industry is now the nation's second largest private sector employee with a workforce of over 13.15 million. So really our expanded industry with restaurants means really a great opportunity for you to offer your customers a industry-leading business owner's policy with really innovative coverages and features to help prepare and protect them from the emerging risks that are resulting from things like severe weather, data breach, and more. So we've aligned our appetite between our Spectrum business owner's policy and workers' comp products. Eligibility guidelines are consistent, and the entire process is very streamlined. It's very easy for you to offer your restaurant customers a total account solution with the Hartford. So what we're going to go over today, we're going to go over our expanded opportunity. We're going to look through our appetite and eligibility. We're also going to look through what good looks like and also what bad looks like. We're also going to go in detail over our restaurant stretch and some great coverages that we have within our stretch. And then we're also going to go over some other coverages, including our data breach coverage. So let's talk about eligibility. We offer restaurants with banquet facilities or party rooms that seat up to 100 guests. And we can also now look at establishments that may be open to 2 a.m. And we have also increased our acceptability of delivery exposures from 10 to 25%, and this just excludes fast food, pizza, and Chinese delivery, but otherwise open. And these changes are really designed to drive flow in those restaurants and really help you close more business. We even are considering now, live entertainment that is even more than that single piano guitar player that were in our old guidelines. So let's really review our liquor sales guidelines for fine dining, full service, fast food, and buffets. So we were previously capped at 40% and 25% respectively for fine dining and full service for liquor sales, with really a minimal to no flexibility in fast food, buffets, and cafeteria classes. We can now look at fine dining and full service restaurants with no cap on liquor sales. So keep in mind, we can still not provide liquor liability for amounts over 40% for fine dining or 25% for full service. And we can also consider liquor liability up to 25% of sales for fast food, buffet, cafeteria classifications. Think of the growing need for things like Chipotle, where they're selling beer and wine in a fast food environment. So with that said, it's important not to confuse the distinction between spectrum eligibility and optional coverage eligibility. So for example, a full-service restaurant with 30% liquor sales would be eligible for spectrum, but would not be eligible for our optional liquor liability coverage. We also offer liquor liability for fast food restaurants, buffets, and cafeterias where there's liquor sales receipts that are less than 25 of total receipts. We can consider restaurants that provide live entertainment, and this excludes bars and taverns, and we'll go over that in a couple slides in a sec. And then we have also eased liquor sales eligibility requirements for general liability coverage. So while our appetite has expanded and we can entertain restaurants offering live music and higher percentage of liquor sales, the Hartford is still not a market for bars or taverns. So let's take a closer look at the differences. So for a restaurant, that's going to be tables and wait staff. It's going to be a developing menu with a variety of meal offerings. The majority of the sales are going to be food. It's going to be that kid and family-friendly environment. There's going to be a hostess. There's going to be dining areas with tables that you can sit down, full range of cooking exposures, and pretty limited live entertainment exposures. So a bar, that's going to be limited menu with many appetizers and finger foods, more aggressive happy hour specials, standing room mostly with limited tables, a lot of live entertainment exposures. People come to drink instead of eat. Even ID checks at the door, cover charges, and even a DJ or dance floor. I say think of a bar as a place you would take a friend for a drink, and a restaurant as where you would bring a first date. So evaluating a restaurant for coverage is a lot like choosing a restaurant for dinner. Many factors make a restaurant appealing. So when it comes to underwriting a restaurant, here is what good looks like. So we're looking at fine dining establishments in affluent or suburban locations, experienced management, credit and insurance scores that are superior, building constructed for restaurant use, automatic sprinklers, they have ample parking or even valet parking, and new and properly maintained cooking equipment. So what does less desirable look like? Those are going to be kind of your rooftop and waterfront locations, wood, charcoal, or mesquite cooking, drink specials that emphasize liquor sales, live entertainment focus, inadequate controls on cooking equipment or inadequate management experience, and habitational occupancies. So we've got a couple of case studies. Let's just kind of review and see, when we're looking at these two different establishments, which one seems more in line with our appetite? So we've got one example here of Divine's Grill and Sports. And on the surface, they look very similar between that and Quench Cafe. Both have alcohol receipts of 40%. They have a website, and they advertise. But Divine's is a regular stop for leading party bands from the Carolinas and throughout the East Coast. They come out to Divine's for a drink, dinner, or an appetizer and enjoy live country music. Now our Quench Cafe is more of a casual, affordable neighborhood Italian bistro in the East End. The atmosphere is gracious, warm, and welcoming. Quench is a place to enjoy great food, generous drinks, and mouth-watering desserts with friends. Just kind of getting a feel for those two, which one would you think would be a good fit for Hartford? Hopefully you answered Quench Cafe. Divine has more emphasis, obviously, on liquor and live bands. Sounds more like a bar, right? And Quench Cafe, you know, local neighborhood, casual, quiet, good place for a first date. Let's look at another case study. So assuming controls are in place, which one would be acceptable, or would either? So we've got your pizzahotline.com, in which online ordering is the only offering they offer. It's 100% delivery. And the description is 25 years of delivery experience is now combined with our new streamlined online ordering system. Your Pizza Hotline now has featured 10 and 14-inch speedy pies available for special pricing when you order here online. Then we have our second example of Theo's Pizzeria. It's a full dining restaurant and it has 25% delivery. So Theo's description is that pizzeria is all about food, friends, family, and fun. Here at Theo's, we are committed to providing our customers with a wonderful dining experience. Stop by for a fresh, delicious pizza, hearty sandwich, or a dish of mouth-watering pasta. So which one really fits Hartford? Hopefully, again, you guys have answered Theo's here. So hotline.com, as you can see, is well over 25% delivery. There's no sit-down seating here. It's 100% delivery. Theo's, it's 25% delivery. It's a dining establishment with not only pizza, but sandwiches and pasta. Looks like a local pizzeria that would be a good fit for the Hartford. So we have an exceptional menu, no pun intended. Let's take a closer look at some of our great tailored coverages available in our restaurant stretch. So those of you that may not know, we have stretches that are available for all of our industry segments. That really takes the guessing game out of what you need to add for a particular industry segment. And that's no different for restaurants. We have an actual restaurant stretch. And you can see on this page, you can see what is in our base policy limit as well as what's in our base restaurant stretch. We also have a super stretch for restaurants as well too, in which we're going to blanket some additional coverages, including temperature change. So temperature change is built into our stretch endorsement for restaurants. This is kind of AKA food spoilage. So temperature change would be the spoilage to perishable stock from a mechanical breakdown or power outage. And there is also limited coverage provided under off-premises utility service direct damage, which is included under the restaurant stretch and super stretch for restaurants. And this is for food that is damaged as a result of an interruption to a utility service. And this interruption must be caused by a loss or damage to the utility service by a covered cause of loss. Also in our stretch is food contamination. So this would include, food poisoning to a patron that was tainted by purchased food. Maybe it was improperly stored or handled or prepared. Also, don't forget, loss of income due to food poisoning, what we call food contamination coverage, is provided as a business income coverage for the insured that loses income as a result of being shut down by a government agency because of an incident of food poisoning. This coverage also pays the extra expense required to inoculate customers against any food airborne illness that may be a result of contaminated food, of any illness originating from an employee. We also include in our stretch endorsement business income dependent properties. So this may be where a major supplier or a manufacturer, for whatever reason, can't supply that restaurant with the things that they need to do their operations day in and day out. So on our stretch endorsement for business income, we'd have $50,000 for our base stretch as well as our super stretch. Another great coverage that is kind of unique to Hartford from the standpoint of what we are able to cover, as well as our response time. We have business income off-premises utility service coverage. And this coverage, as you can well imagine, we're getting lots of play around this because there has been more and more extreme weather coming across the country. And in most cases, when a storm rolls through town, you know, your local restaurant, it isn't on their premises that those power lines go down. It's typically down the road. And in the event that happens, they're not going to have on the normal BOP business income loss. But with our business income extension off-premises utility service, they would. The great thing is we offer $25,000 in our base stretch, $50,000 in our plus. A lot of other carriers, if they even offer this coverage, it's only a couple thousand. And we've found most small business owners lose about $3,000 in income per day. It responds very quickly as well, too. 12 hours after loss of power. A lot of other carriers, if they have it, it's 48, 72 hours. That storm may already be over at that point. And it does include overhead power lines as well, too. So in addition, we also have employee dishonesty. So it provides for loss of money securities that's covered property from dishonest or fraudulent acts of the insured's employees or their directors and officers. What I also love about our stretch, we include, when you get into our restaurant stretch, outdoor signs as well too. Think about how many outdoor signs your typical restaurant is going to have. It's going to cover all of that in our stretch. So our stretch endorsement, always great to make sure that that is on the policy. We're going to automatically throw on our base stretch on every policy. So what about data breach? So this is a very, very common coverage that's added to restaurants. Think about all the info that restaurants collect. Credit cards obviously are the largest and biggest exposure. However, it's not only credit card use. Think about phone numbers taken for to-go orders, or a lot of hostess stands now have seat alert systems using text. Email collection as well too. Most restaurants have frequent customer clubs where they collect full names and email addresses and even addresses, or take up orders on websites. So Hartford's data breach coverage includes not only first party, but third party. So first party is, when it initially happens, most laws require that you notify all of the clients as well as credit monitoring. So we have first party available, and that can go up to $100,000. Once they've selected first party, we can offer third party as well too, and that's going to be for defense and liability. Unfortunately, we are a very litigious society, and defense costs add up very quickly, and we can go up to $500,000 on defense and liability. So a lot of other carriers, if they do have defense and liability, it's pretty limited. Another thing that's kind of unique with our data breach coverage, we do cover paper as well too, and not all the carriers do that. Just think about how much information you have in files, that if it wasn't shredded properly and got into the wrong hands, you'd have a breach on your hands. Now we see the big headlines for Target and Sony, so a lot of small business owners think that they're immune to it. But the reality is 64% of data breaches investigated were from organizations under 100 employees. Unfortunately, your small business owner just doesn't have the infrastructure in place like some of the large corporations, so are actually more at risk. When a breach occurs, the average cost per record, and this is from a 2012, it's actually up over 200 now, is 194. I think it's around 216 now. So that's per record. So think about how many clients a typical restaurant has and what the exposure could be for data breach. So a great coverage to add to every restaurant policy that you have. So keep in mind, we do require loss runs if the Spectrum BOP policy is greater than $2,500, or if the workers' comp premium is greater than $7,500. We also require website addresses as well too, so we can review those restaurants. So the table is really set for success. At the Hartford, we're doing everything we can to help you make your restaurant customers satisfied customers. making the process easier for you and providing your customers with 5-star service. So we are a strong market for restaurants that meet our eligibility guidelines. We continue to look for ways to expand our appetite and product offerings to help you grow your business. We are looking for you to partner with us on restaurants. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Kyle to open it back up for questions and answers.
All right, thank you very much, Michelle. Honestly, the questions have been pretty quiet here today. About the only one I've seen, first one I saw come in actually got answered by one of your comparison charts, so that was good. I took care of that.
Great.
The other one is, are restaurants required to have sprinkler systems to be eligible?
It depends on the value of the building. So in some instances, yes. So you can specifically, if there's a specific risk that you're looking at, certainly work with underwriting to determine that.
Okay. Actually, another question just popped in. Is hired and unknown auto eligible to be added to the coverage when they do provide delivery services?
It depends on the percentage of delivery. So if they're delivering over 25%, we couldn't do hired and non-known.
Okay. And then the last one I saw, just pop in was, are startup restaurants eligible, or do they need to be in business a certain number of years before it's eligible?
Oh yeah, great question as well. So typically 3 years in business is our rule. But there are a few exceptions to that. So franchises is one of them. So if they have been, if they're a franchise business, we're going to go ahead and waive that 3-year in business. Or if you've got a situation where they have multiple restaurants, and while this is a new restaurant for them, they have other restaurants, that's a conversation that we can certainly have, and typically we'll make an exception for that as well.
Okay, thank you. Actually, a couple other ones I saw pop in. One is, what's the turnaround time? From our end, if it's something we can quote here in-house at Stuckey, it's usually, 24 to 48 hours. Sometimes it takes a little longer if we have to submit it up and go over a few things, with our underwriters up at Hartford. One I saw pop in was, would a restaurant be eligible if a residential exposure is in the same building? From what I understand, that's a no, correct?
Correct, unless if they own the restaurant in the building, typically a no. But if they're part, kind of the lower level, and the restaurant above is not owned by the restaurant owner, then we would be able to take a look at that.
Okay. Okay, and I've seen a couple other questions asking if there are restrictions on the type of restaurants eligible within New York State, and also I've noticed specifically the boroughs or maybe out in Long Island. Is there any specific restrictions in place in that state, or is it still the same coverages?
Yeah, there certainly is on certain zip codes within certain boroughs. So.
Okay. Okay, and if you guys, whoever has questions on that, feel free to contact myself or Carrie Stuckey, and we can verify the classifications with Hartford and get that squared away for you guys.
Yeah, if there's specific, there's specific zip codes or boroughs or anything like that, yeah, get with Kyle and he'll be able to help.
Okay. All right, and I've seen a couple other questions, but we'll probably answer a few here by email. And then like we said before, we will do a follow-up email to everyone that was registered today for the webinar. It'll include a recording of the webinar, a copy of the PowerPoint, and then the appetite guide. And we'll get that out to you guys. And we really do appreciate your time of sitting with us today. And thank you again, Michelle, for putting this on for us.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Have a wonderful afternoon.